And now, we'd like to feature...
Ladies and germs, welcome to Red Hot Underdogs. I am your host, Anzac, and with me tonight is the host with the most, the ever incredible, long contained, often imitated, but never duplicated. It is Drewy.
Hey, big guy, how you going? Listen, before we say anything, I just want to say, listen, despite what you did or I did or any of us got up to this weekend, I'm going to just skip all the weekend fluff and foreplay, and I think we should just take a great big wet muff dive into the sport straight away.
Yes.
So,
muff dive into
Yep.
it. Yeah.
Absolutely. I just want to bring up one thing. I know before, because we're going to speak about plenty of rugby league, before the end of last episode, you were about to ask me.
Weekend of rugby league. Seriously.
It was.
It's good to be alive.
It was.
But it's you want to talk about Tim for a bit.
Yes. Yeah, you were about to ask me at the end of last episode. So
well, I did ask
what
you.
did you
I did.
Yeah.
And, we're too tight to pay for Zoom membership, which is over 40 minutes. So
and I'm working off my iPhone 3. Anyway, so yeah, you were going to say if I'd changed my tune about whether he should have pulled out or not.
Yep. So
is that basically the gist of it? Yep.
I said it's been 2 weeks since the zoo fight. And in that time, we did our first zoo podcast the day after. And, sometimes it takes a while to, let the dust settle. And, in hindsight, if we knew now what we knew then before we watched or during it, has your opinion changed at all? There you go.
It absolutely has. So just to quickly recap, but not too much, Zoo ended up losing by a split decision. I thought he should have lost by a unanimous decision.
Unanimous. Yeah, anyway, we were shocked about that. I remember, yeah.
But by now we all know about the cut on his head.
Yep.
And he couldn't see from the third round onwards, happened at the end of the second round. I will say this. As a guy that works for near minimum wage, 5 days a week, has 9 out of 10 sexual advances rejected from his wife.
Yes.
All I wanted to do was sit down and watch that bloody fight. However, in hindsight, I'm now saying I should have parked my ego at the door and said, hey, let's call it quits. After the second round, at the very latest 4, because 4 is the cutoff for the no result.
Could he?
And
so after 2 rounds, you can call a no contest.
He could have after the second, but the 4th round is the absolute cutoff. So
the end of the 4th round, you have had, but still, that's 6 minutes or 2 rounds of blood going in his eyes, where you could clearly see he wasn't stopping. So anyone in Zoo's team could have said no contest. And
correct.
Correct. The buck stopped where? Because
the buck stops with his corner. That's what I think. Listen, I think sometimes
not Zoo to say I can't see. People can see he can't fucking see. Do you know what I mean?
See, his corner need to look after him and his future. That's the thing. Sometimes the fighter needs saving from themselves, and then sometimes the corner needs to step in and say, hey, listen, you got a future ahead of you. If we proceed with this fight and then we lose, all these opportunities that you've been working for might disappear. And I can give you updates on that, and things might not be as rosy as first seen.
I had Yumcha with AJ and Angelo today, and Angelo, he said he's seen less bloody fights stopped.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's,
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I,
But
I mean, we
see, the
might have
problem is
we might have been
the
disappointed,
problem.
but
Yeah.
we wouldn't be sitting here
Mm,
saying
mm,
they made the
mm.
wrong decision. Would be like,
Yeah.
well, bring it on in a few months' time when he's ready, and if Fundora presents himself, it'll be there. But this is worse, isn't it? It really is
See,
worse.
it is. See, the problem is this. From a spectator's point of view,
Yeah.
as a spectator, you're kind of selfish and you're only thinking about the fight. So I'm not in charge of, obviously, as a spectator, what Team Tszyu does, because I don't have a vested interest. They do. They need to think about their fighter and their future. And Tszyu's success also depends on their financial well-being too.
Yeah.
But I'll cut to the chase here. There's also been other developments. See, if it wasn't for that cut, things were moving nicely in favour of Tszyu, because I can now confirm that during the second round, Tszyu actually broke Sebastian Fundora's nose.
Yeah. Wow.
And so you saw blood coming from the nose and the mouth.
Yeah.
So things were moving in a lovely direction for him.
Oh,
But
he
obviously,
had blood, but nothing like Tszyu had, which
it
was
was
cut from his glove, moving down, was a freak accident.
he was breaking him down, and I had Tszyu
He
ahead
was
after 2
clearly
rounds.
winning. Fundora knows that,
Yeah, all the judges had him up for 2 rounds, but you got to give credit to Fundora. He started to fight from range. I can also confirm that also during the post-fight press conference, they asked Tszyu if the Vaseline that was used on his cut was like the real deal kind of Vaseline. He said, "I have no comment."
Yeah.
To me, that is an enormous red flag.
The second red flag, why did they say no contest? Why didn't they have the correct product there?
Yeah. And they've got an experienced cutman called Jacob Stitch Duran, he's done plenty of world title fights over the best part of 3 decades. And I watched his breakdown on YouTube, and he said that the cutmen did all sorts of things wrong.
Oh, wow.
Now,
Okay.
I'm not
saying that this bloke was Tim Tszyu's cut man and he's very experienced, but not the case. Tim Tszyu had, some bricklayer from fucking Tasmania. The cut.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, mate, from Tasmania, I can lay fucking bricks. I can fix a fucking cut on Timmy's head. But no, he couldn't do it. He fucking just somehow got in that position, couldn't do it. Maybe it was up to fucking Mr. Tasmania to call no contest on the fight. He didn't, and he's fucked it up for not just him, many people.
I mean, look, I'm no cut man expert, but even I thought, and I didn't say anything at the time because I'm like, well, I don't know enough about it, but even watching it, I sort of questioned the way that the cutman was applying the Vaseline. It almost looked like a 4-year-old was doing paper mache on Tim Tszyu's head. But anyway, the other bad thing that we've learned.
He did this one. It was he was thumbing it, We've all thumbed in a softie, Drew. He was thumbing it.
We have. We have. The other thing that came to light, now this one might shock you, was that the rematch clause wasn't a written one. It was verbal.
What?
That's not even worth the toilet paper that you rub your asshole with.
You serious? What?
So there is a chance that if Fundora
in Tszyu's hand, what or which idiot would think, let's just get this verbally, not in writing? What we're dealing with fucking monkeys here. Who the fuck would do that?
The whole thing reeks of Burwood Police Boys Club. Listen, so now the problem is if Fundora is offered a boatload of money,
which he
from say
will be,
a person like Crawford or Spence, there is a big chance he might take it.
Yeah.
However,
Yeah.
However, he might, as a sign of goodwill, say to Tszyu, listen, you gave me the chance coming off the loss, so
I
I'll
feel he
give
will
you
say
a chance.
that. You think it, but also he's going to have other people that say to him, mate, like you've got to look after number one, and number one is you.
Yeah.
And number one isn't giving a guy who you beat fair and square another shot because you had a verbal agreement which counts
Oh, it's
for
terrible. Oh,
diddly
God.
what shit.
It's the hand on the face emoji, isn't it?
Yes,
And
it's ridiculous. Yeah.
but here's one thing that might be in a bit of Tszyu's favour is that Sebastian Fundora, because of the broken nose, it appears that he won't be returning until at least November. So probably November. So, but look,
And how long?
we'll wrap it up.
How long does a cut on one's head?
Yeah, and that's the thing too.
Yeah.
So the thing that Tszyu was hoping to do was win against Sebastian Fundora, and then maybe fight Errol Spence, who's lesser than Crawford, because they fought last year, and that was viewed as a 50-50 fight, and Crawford wiped him out in 9 rounds. Crawford's largely regarded as the number 1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. So Tszyu was thinking of either fighting Spence and then fighting Crawford, or just going for the big cash and fighting Crawford and going straight to the top. But now, because they fought on, all of those kind of plans are a little bit up in the air.
Yeah, who knows what it'll be? It could well be
who knows?
Fundora Crawford. It very much
It could be.
because Crawford would have watched what has happened, would have thought, you know what, this guy's lucky to have that belt. I'm going to go.
And what's more, people could now see how dangerous Tszyu was before the cut and say, hey, you're coming off a loss. You're high risk, low reward.
Yeah.
I mean, this was meant to be his big breakout fight in the United States.
Yeah.
But and he's meant to bring the US eyeballs, but unfortunately it was like Tszyu being at the beach, the lifeguard walking up to him, flopping out the old fella out of his trunks and pissing on Tszyu's fish and chips.
But he got the eyeballs.
You know,
he got the eyeballs. He definitely got the eyeballs, and he didn't lose respect. But what you said now, people are looking at him like his high risk, low reward, which is desirable.
But it just seems the whole thing, the whole team Tszyu didn't come in properly prepared for anything. Like, if this was a camping analogy, they should have brought their tent, their food, their water, their equipment.
Yeah.
But instead, they just brought their sleeping bag. But instead, they just brought a pillow and a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
Now they're sort of now it's sort of all up in the air. So that's basically where we stand. And I guess it's a case of watch this space before we move on to the NRL.
Moving on to Rugby League.
Do you want to talk about Manly or the Bunnies?
Let's sucked into Bunnies. Good, reckon they lost, which is good, and they could have lost worse, which would have made me even happy. What was the end? Bunnies? They've got a couple of okay tries.
I believe it was 34-22.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look.
Yes.
You can't say they got smashed, but they lost. And has old mate lost his job? Have they got Mal Meninga as the coach? Or
here's the thing. Prior to the game, they said to Jason Demetrio, you've got 80 minutes to win the game. Otherwise, we're going to hire Mal Meninga as a temporary coach. Mal smell my finger Meninga. But
my finger. Smell my finger now, is it?
Smell my finger or pull my finger? I think I'd rather pull it because I don't know where he's put the bloody thing.
Yeah.
But
I'd much rather pull fingers than smell fingers. But anyway, Meninga, has he got the job as the Bunnies coach?
I don't know. See, because reports coming out today was that Jason Demetrio might hold on to his job.
Yeah.
Because they say, well, it was a spirited effort and it was a better effort, which they
Oh,
did.
okay.
However,
Yeah.
the counter argument to that is there's no point in having spirited and better efforts if you keep
Spirited loss.
losing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
lost.
you keep
Wow.
like,
Congratulations.
you know,
Yeah.
it should be results based, not
Anyway,
performance
fuck
based.
the bunnies. Suck shit.
Yeah.
You lost. Moving on to a decent team.
Okay.
And the biggest ripoff of the fucking century, the biggest bullshit of the century, Manly was winning. We were 3 tries up. Is that correct? It was 16-0.
Yeah, 16-0.
You and I were right
Yeah.
here. We were feeling good. I was playing pool
Oh,
because just to relax myself. We were feeling good. We were like, if we go in
oh.
at halftime, we will be thrilled. Then it got to 16-4. And then it was some cutoff pass, like Brooks pass.
Yeah, from Brooks.
Brooks. I mean, he's good, Brooks, isn't he? But it wasn't
He's
necessarily
a very good player. It was
that
just a
moment.
silly mistake. I think it's a bit of experience. We
Mm.
were, from memory, 16-6 up.
Yeah.
And then it made it 16-10 by half time. The problem is that there was about a minute and a half to go.
Wasn't
and
worth
he-
the risk where there was a few.
There was a slight overlap. He
Yeah.
tried to push the pass to try and go that extra bit further. If he had his time again, he'd probably just say, let's go into the sheds 10 up.
10 up.
But
Yep.
instead it cut it down to 6.
Yep.
And then funnily
Coming down
enough, we
to 8.
scored.
Wasn't it 8? But anyway, 1 try.
But then we scored the first try of the second half.
That's right.
And then that put us out a bit more.
Yep.
And then I think that put us up to 22-10 ahead.
Yep.
And then they scored the next 2.
Yep.
And then by the end of the game, it was 22-20. And
Felt like for
therein lies the
Well,
controversial moment where Sean Johnson went for the field goal. Aloye came in
30
from the
meters out.
side.
30 meters out. Right
Yeah.
on the buzzer. Right on.
Came in from the side from a charge down.
Yep.
Knocked his foot in the process of kicking.
Yeah,
and
not
somehow,
I'd say touched, even brushed.
yeah,
Passed.
yeah, somehow it was a penalty.
Yeah.
And
And Johnson, you could see he looked at his kick. He was looking, and his foot had been brushed. So he kicked, foot brushed, looking, realized that his kick was fucked and didn't go in, his field goal. And then he went down and clutched his foot and put on the fucking biggest Kiwi fucking dodgy ass acting show we've seen since fucking World Cup fucking soccer. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was fucking.
I mean,
it was fucking.
The acting performance there was terrible.
Terrible.
He tried to be Robert De Niro, but instead he was more like Alf from Home and Away.
Oh, Alfie's good. I like Alfie. Alfie's good. He's good.
Yeah, but if you're judging by the caliber of people,
he's down there on the acting scale. Yes.
Yeah,
but
it was no Raging Bull performance. It was more Alf from Home and Away.
But
you know,
the soccer players do it all the time. They're better at it. And how you can relate it to soccer as well, Drew, is that often, okay, and I Googled this, okay, it said 25% of the Champions League or whatever, 25% of those games end in a 0-all draw, okay?
Yeah.
So that's 1 in 4, and 22% of this Premier League, which is meant to be the best league in the world, end in a 0-all draw. Okay. My point is, Drewy, that so many of those games, they are shaped on a moment that we experienced in that game, which is someone pretending to be hurt, milking is the word, milking a penalty, getting that penalty, and the game, the result of the game changed because of that.
Yeah, look, listen, at the end of the day,
Dodgy
there
Kiwi.
was there was no shoulder charge.
No.
There was no head high.
No head
There was
high.
no purposeful leg attack. It
No
was
way.
literally Aloi's hip brushing the foot of Sean Johnson.
Barely brushing
And
is brushing
oh,
is probably too strong. That word.
yeah,
We need
yeah.
a weaker
Yeah.
word than brushing. Let's say you like
Tickling.
tickling.
It was tickling his foot. In this case, a brush would be getting run over by a Mack truck.
Yep.
It was tickling his
It was
foot.
a slight ticker, feather, like maybe even tickling with a feather. You know, the fluffy boys, the fluffy
Yeah.
boy feather.
Correct.
Feathering.
Do you know this from Mardi Gras night or something?
No. But you don't know what are they called? The send in the fluffy boys were the fluffy boys back in the 70s where they had all those pornos and they send in the fluffy boys to get everybody excited. There you go. I don't know anything.
I'll take your word for it. You learn something new every day. But you know what? At the end of the day,
At the end of the day,
the Warriors didn't deserve to be into Golden Point territory.
No, they did not.
They got given a gift to get there. They should have left with a loss. But by that stage, they had the momentum because they'd scored the last two tries. They had
the crowd,
the gift penalty. They had the crowd.
Commentators. It was, you could have vomited listening to this shit. Absolute shit. Dirty.
I will tell you.
Fucking vomit. It was disgusting. It was honest to God, grotesque. That's the word for it, man. Grotesque.
I don't say this very often. I was actually glad that we left getting the draw and getting 1 point out of it.
Yeah.
It was like a case of, well, we didn't get the root, but we got the blowjob. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
You know,
Not
we leave with the point.
But I see an analogy here. It was more like it was like I was just exhausted by that stage. Do you know? I was exhausted, and I was like, "This is just bullshit." Do you know what I mean?
And listen, people are going to come at me for being a sore Manly supporter. I get it, but guess what? I'm coming for all the smoke. I'll tell you why. We lost to Parramatta legitimately. We lost to the Dragons legitimately.
And that was the worst.
We did. This was not a legitimate draw. It should have been a Manly win. My problem is now it takes out the element of theatre to the game and the element of suspense because now people will be too afraid to charge down and it'll turn into soccer.
Well, it actually is turning more into a soccer. Rugby league is becoming more like soccer every day.
Yeah. There's also one other thing that's a worry. See, because you start setting a bad precedent because you allow this now. Imagine if this happens in a grand final and it decides a grand final.
And
the side in Manly's position loses.
Yeah.
That would be horrendous, you know?
Horrendous.
So it's just one of those things.
Until it's a grand final, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. So it's just one of those things. And we just hope that, well, funnily enough, Manly play the Titans next week. So we'll see how that goes.
Is that here
Fingers
or
crossed.
up in the Goldie?
I don't know. I'd have to check that. No, that'd be up in the Gold Coast.
Okay.
Our next home game was Parramatta.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
So, you know, but Gold Coast, they're doing it tough.
Yeah.
I feel for Des.
Well, they're playing right now. What's the score? Should we just do a little?
Yeah. Have a quick look. What is the score? It was quite competitive for a while.
I'll put it on.
So,
up, everybody.
That's good. I'll keep talking for it. What's the score?
You're going to lose 76 minutes. Raiders 20, Titans 10. So, Des.
Well, it's a better effort.
You lost. You're not going to get 2 converted tries in 4 minutes, Des.
No.
So, how long's it been? Des hasn't won in 30 years or something.
645 days, 12 losses, and 1 by with no victories.
Okay.
But we're going to do it for Des.
Do it
You
for
know what I'm kind of thinking right now?
Yeah.
Maybe Jason Demetrio from Souths and Des Hasler from the Titans
Swap skills.
can meet up in some swanky bar
Oh, okay.
and start troubleshooting their problems and their war stories in
Yeah.
order to break through with some victories.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Demetrio can have a cosmopolitan
Yeah.
and Hasler can be drinking a fluffy duck.
Yeah.
And together they can maybe start winning some games.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just trying to think outside the square here because you know it's
You are. It's definitely working. It's definitely working.
I mean things aren't going too well for them. My only problem is right now. Sometimes broken fixes broken, but in this case, I don't think broken will fix broken. I see probably more of a case as two guys trying to fix 1,000 pieces of a shattered Ming vase with one tube of Gorilla Grip.
Yep.
I think there are neither of them are having a great time. I think they just need to get on the drink together, at least for one night, and just forget their troubles.
Now, I know both of us aren't into this sport, but it is one of the biggest things happening right now. Did you watch any of the Masters, and is it Tiger Woods' last chance to ever do something, or is he stuffed it
Oh
up?
no, Tiger Woods is way out of drift.
Way out.
He's not even in the contest, unfortunately. You know,
Well,
it's not
what is he, 40, 49 or 7 or something? So is he 47?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's 47. Yeah.
47.
So
I mean,
you
that
know,
is golf has a much higher or longer professional playing age.
yeah,
And he's in it, like this 47-year-old
yeah,
can be at
yeah. I did check today. He's right back. I think he's about +10.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He's still playing his shots from the car park. It's
Yeah.
not the Tiger of old right now.
Yeah.
He's been brilliant. He's been great, but I think he's had too many off-field indiscretions, too many injuries. But look, at the end of the day, the second best player of all time. He's got 15 majors.
Yeah, good
So,
on him.
you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, anyone who wants to come at me with they think Tiger's the best of all time, I'm sorry, it's Jack Nicklaus because he's won more majors.
Yeah, and that's what it's all
So
about.
to me, that's what it's all about.
Well, it's
And
the same in tennis, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Say,
I mean,
Federer's got something and Nadal's got something, but it's majors. That's all it is.
that's what you play for. That's why Djokovic is number one. I mean, I was trying to watch the golf and take an interest, but like sometimes I fall asleep. And being a gardener,
it's hard watching.
but and doing garden maintenance and landscaping for a career, sometimes I don't find myself looking at the shots. I find myself checking out the Ophiopogon japonicus on the hill or the Lagerstroemia indica trees or
I
the
prefer
Morea
watch
paniculata.
than watch golf as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so
But I don't mind talking about it. You know, it's one of those things. I don't like watching soccer, right? But
no,
I enjoy talking about it. I enjoy talking
yes,
how it's shit. I enjoy talking
yes,
that it's boring, and I accept that it's the world game, but I
yes.
also accept that there's just not much to watch. I just talked about all those nil or draws. Do you know what I mean? How often we've just seen a draw, Manly got a draw. How often do we see a draw in rugby league?
Not very often. That's why it's so exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. But how
You
often?
know?
Like we see one every year at most, one every.
Probably once a year, and then some years without any. At
And
at the very
there's over
at the very
200
most, you'll
games.
see two.
Yeah,
At the
there's
very most, you'll see two.
200 games in a year, right? Of rugby in the season. Yet those stats before said there's 1 in 4 games is a draw in
Yes.
soccer. So if there's 200
Yeah.
games a year, and you see one of them that's less. There's over 200 games, so there's less than 0.5% will end in a draw in rugby league. Less than 0.5%.
Yeah. I mean, the most, like, you'll
While
generally,
25%, it's ridiculous.
if you do see a draw in rugby league throughout a season, you'll see one. At the extreme most, you'll see two.
Yeah.
But I will challenge people and say you will never see three. That's like seeing Halley's Comet. Comes around once every blue moon.
What is it?
But
6 years? How often does Halley's Comet come around?
once every 80 years or so. 75 years, I think it is.
76 or something like that.
Yeah. So you never see three in a season.
Yeah.
But that also brings me to my champion of the week, where we usually
let's hear it,
find
because
some-
we've only got a couple of minutes left. Who's the champion of the week?
My champion of the week is every whistle across the whole face of the earth that blew its whistle on a 0-0 draw in any given soccer game this week. So any whistle that blew a 0-0 draw, you are the champion of the week.
No. I'm sick of 0-0 draws. But I did
know.
AJ, 5 years old, he asked me yesterday, he said, when are we watching Manly? And he missed it. He was at a kids' party. Fortunately, got out of a kids' party at one of these Wizzy Worlds, which is full of kids and sugar and screaming to watch rugby league. Thank God for that.
That's good. He's enjoying it.
Yeah, he liked it. But he said to me, what happened with Manly? And I told him, it was a draw. And he said to me, so they both won. And I was like,
it's a good way of putting it.
Do you know what I mean?
Hey,
it made me feel quite good. It's like, they both won. And I was like,
did both win.
So that's a 5-year-old making me feel better. Yeah.
Yeah, 5-year-old wisdom. Sometimes it's a lot better than adult wisdom.
Speaking of this, like, you knew what I was doing. Like, you were here watching the game with me, right? As I was watching Manly, what was I doing?
You're playing pool.
That's right. Now, can I run through something very quickly, because we're about to run out of time? So I'm playing pool, which is, to me, one of my favorite sports. I prefer snooker, but I love pool. Play it all the time. Okay, so I'm sitting there. I'm not saying you're an expert at pool, but most people have many rules. Like, you've got Richard who has his 2-shot rules, and people that don't have the 2-shot rules, like me. Okay, so I'm on the black ball, the cue ball, not cue ball, the 8 ball. It's sitting right in front of the pocket. Okay?
Yeah.
Right in front of the pocket. Because my neighbor that I'm playing, maybe he'll even listen to this podcast, because I'll say he's in it, has 2 balls. And I would say that the 2 balls he had weren't on the cushion and very potable. Okay?
Yes.
It's his shot.
Yeah.
It's his shot. We're watching Manly. 90% of my attention is on Manly. However, relax.
Should be.
It's his shot. Black ball right over the pocket. His shot.
Yeah.
And I look up, because I'm watching the game, I look up and boom, he's potted the black ball.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what happened? And what has happened? I said, I won. And he said, no. I lost. You didn't win.
Yeah. But that's the mentality of every commentator and every analyst that is watching a Manly game. Anyone who's not a Manly supporter, that is their mentality, and he brought that to your pool game.
Supporter. Yeah. But so
he brought that to your pool game.
He tried to hit the black 8 ball out, of being in front of the pocket, and stuffed it up and sunk my ball. And I won. He lost. But he said, no. You didn't win. I lost. And I was like, well, no, you could have sunk that, then sunk the 8 ball, then you would have won. But you didn't.
You know what?
You lost. You lost.
Sometimes those problems. I know you're still living with that one and you're hurting from it, but sometimes
Yeah.
It's better just to let those things go through to the keeper
Let
and
it go.
move on.
Yeah.
And just
Try to
let
give him
him
the
keep
elevator.
that accountant energy,
Just
not
let it,
giving you
let it
any
rip.
credit.
Yeah. Let it
you
rip.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah, just another accountant giving you no credit.
Drewy, it's been a great episode. Thank you so much.
Peace out.
Speak to
Thank
soon,
you.
buddy.
And thank you for anyone watching. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.